This prison has 1,000 guards, but it only holds one prisoner. Yet even so, the prisoner managed to escape under the watch of so many guards. On the first day, he dug a hole and crawled into the sewer to escape, but he found that wasn't exciting enough. After escaping, he voluntarily turned himself in, asking the police to lock him up in a 1-meter thick, airtight iron cell. He even arranged for an officer to monitor the security cameras 24/7 to prevent him from escaping. But what no one expected was, he disguised himself as a priest who prays for criminals, and escaped again. To prevent his escape, the police locked him up with over 100 locks, and took him to a small island in the middle of the Pacific. There, he was guarded by an officer who had spent his entire life tracking him. The officer was responsible for all of Lupin's daily meals. They decided to keep Lupin locked up until his death. This new prison was extremely secure. Even if Lupin was a brilliant thief with an IQ of 300, he had no way of escaping and could only wait to die in prison. But after a year, none of Lupin's friends even thought about rescuing him. In fact, no one seemed to care where Lupin had been taken. The woman Lupin secretly loved, seeing that he was in prison, had already begun courting a new man. Soon, Lupin's mental state broke down. Without freedom, he preferred to starve himself to death. He refused to eat even when the officer brought him spoiled food, not even glancing at it. A month later, Lupin quickly became a bag of bones due to malnutrition, and collapsed on the ground, unconscious. The officer, seeing this, became frantic. He took out his keys and rushed to open the door to save Lupin, because he had spent his entire life chasing this master thief, and didn't want to see him die in such a humiliating way. But the next second, he stopped. The calm officer realized that this could be Lupin's trick, designed to lure him into opening the door and allowing him to escape. After calming down, the officer was convinced that this must be another escape plan by Lupin.
No! So he really wants to die! Anybody? Won't anybody come here to save Lupin?
However, a few days later, Lupin actually died. He truly starved himself to death in this prison. Seeing this, the officer couldn't contain his emotions anymore. He quickly opened the prison door, planning to send Lupin to the hospital for treatment. But as soon as he reached Lupin's side, he became anxious and realized he had been tricked again. The body in front of him was gradually stretching, turning into a flat image. It turned out that Lupin had prepared this 3D drawing for his escape. He used the remaining food from his fast as paint, and his growing hair as a brush. Every night, while the officer slept, Lupin drew the image of his own body from the window's perspective. Because once a prisoner dies, the prison doors are bound to open. But this seemingly impossible idea had actually crossed Lupin's mind since the moment he was first captured. He voluntarily stayed on the island for a year with the officer, just to get back at him for having chased him for so many years. After telling the officer this, Lupin gleefully locked him in the prison. But the next second, the officer burst into twisted laughter. He was actually proud of Lupin. Only Lupin, who never gave up, was worthy of being pursued for a lifetime. Soon, Lupin's escape made the news, and the officer who was almost starved to death was finally rescued.